Hello, my dear students. Welcome you all back to this chapter. Let us continue with this chapter, basically matter in our surroundings, solid, liquid, gas. I explained you how solid, when you heat solid, this reaches a temperature which is called as a melting point. At this melting point, basically the solid melts. I did not tell you like this. I explained to you that when you heat solid, the particles in the solid, they gain energy, and they gain energy. With that, the motion also increases and the distance between the particle increases. The forces of attraction go on becoming weaker, and then slowly steadily the form of the matter changes from solid to liquid. This basically happens at a typical temperature, at a fixed temperature. For every matter, for every substance, there is a fixed temperature at which the solid substance will convert into liquid substance. Similarly, when I heat liquid, I go on heating liquid, the particles of the liquid go on keep on receiving energy, they gain energy, and with the gain of energy, the motion also increases. The distance between the particle increases further. Slowly, steadily, they break the bond of force of attraction, and then the particles move in every possible direction. At that time, liquid actually gets converted into gas. To extend this topic, my dear students, you have to understand that same process when you go in reverse fashion. Like supposing if you have gaseous state, if I withdraw the energy, I remove the energy, that means I cool these substances. I cool gas so that the energy is taken out of gas. It goes on becoming cooler. Particles keep losing energy. Then they move closer to each other, and slowly, steadily, they come in the range of force of attraction. And when they come in the force of attraction, then gas gets converted into liquid. Similarly, if I go on cooling liquid, I mean to say that I keep on taking out energy. I keep on taking out energy from the liquid. This is very important. See, try to understand. There is nothing called as cold. You can't cool anything. When you cool anything, you actually are taking out the heat of the substance, and then that substance you feel that substance cold because you have taken out heat. Heat is the main form of energy. Heat is the one who provides energy. You remove the heat, that substance will lose energy, and then the substance will feel cold. That's a different other aspect. So from the liquid, when I withdraw energy, when I remove energy, when I take out the energy out of the liquid, the particles, they lose energy and they come closer and closer. Steadily they come into a very close to each other. Force of attraction becomes very strong, and then the liquid becomes solid. See, all these episodes, they happen at a fixed temperature for every matter. To be precise, when we talk about the most common substance, water, ice, steam. Ice is a solid form. It will melt at 0 degrees Celsius. When you heat ice, which is at a very low temperature, anywhere less than 0 degrees Celsius, when the temperature goes below 0 degrees Celsius, -1, -2 degrees Celsius, at that time water is in solid form, that is ice form. When you heat this water and the temperature reaches to 0 degrees Celsius, at that time the solid, means ice, melts. That is the melting point of ice. It melts into water. When you still keep on heating water, then it will reach to its boiling point, 100 degrees Celsius. At this boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius, water will get converted into gas. When you go reverse, when you freeze gas, when you go on freezing gas, so basically at that boiling point, which will be now the point of freezing point. When you come from that side, when the gas, it freezes into liquid. or it liquefies into liquid. Water boils into gas. Gas liquidifies into liquid. That also will happen at the point of, actually it is called as point of liquefaction. Are you getting my point? That point will be 100 degrees Celsius in case of steam, water, steam. When you go from water to steam, it is a boiling point. From steam to water, it is point of liquefaction. Same when you go on cooling water further, then the point of freezing, where it will get converted into ice, solid. That will be the point of freezing, which will be again 0 degrees Celsius. Basically, it is a melting point. When you come from solid to liquid, it is a melting point. And when you go from liquid to solid, it is a freezing point. This is the topic, my dear students, but now there is even something more that you have to understand. I hope you all have understood this. Now there is something more that you have to understand, my dear students, when it comes over here. Very, very important topic. All these I kept on repeating again and again because I want to come to a certain point. Just a minute. See, my dear students, let us consider this beaker which has ice cubes in it. Fine. Sorry. Which has some ice cubes in it. Fine. Now the temperature of this ice definitely will be less than 0 degrees Celsius. So I will consider this temperature to be, let us consider this is a thermometer which basically is supposed to be inside. Basically it is supposed to be inside this. Okay, but I will not be able to read it over there. I am just showing it over here. Now the temperature of the, I will take it in enlarged form. This is basically a magnified scale. Now supposing it is at anywhere minus 3 degrees Celsius. Chalo. -3, -2, -1, -0 degrees Celsius, 1 degree. This goes on. Fine. At present it is at, supposing, 3 degrees Celsius, -3 degrees Celsius. Okay, I start providing heat to this ice. Now what will happen? Definitely the temperature will rise. Supposing the temperature rises from -3 degrees Celsius, it reaches to -2 degrees Celsius. Now the time taken to reach over here, maybe supposing, let us take it to be 2 minutes. Are you getting, my dear students? Definitely it will take some time for the temperature to rise. This also will depend on various factors. This we are assuming it is taking 2 minutes. Of course, it is blindly, randomly taken time 2 minutes. Basically, it will depend on many more factors. Amount of ice present in it, the amount of fire that I am providing. It all depends on many factors, but let us now assume that for this amount of ice, this amount of fire, it is going to take 2 minutes for the temperature to rise from -3 degrees Celsius to -2 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now I keep on firing it. I keep on giving fire, and the temperature rises from -2 degrees Celsius to -1 degree Celsius. What do you think will the time be taken for this? Of course, it will be again 2 minutes because it is same amount of substance and same fire that I am providing. So definitely it will be again 2 minutes for rising 1 degree Celsius. Again I keep on heating, it reaches to 0 degrees Celsius. For this also it will take 2 minutes. Fine. For this also it will take 2 minutes. Now it has come to 0 degrees Celsius. Now it has come to 0 degrees Celsius. That means now the water is going to, the ice is going to convert into water. Fine, it is going to convert into water. First it will get converted to water, and then temperature will keep on rising and the temperature will reach to 1 degree Celsius. What do you think the time taken from 0 degree Celsius to 1 degree Celsius will be? 2 minutes? No. My dear students, after 2 minutes the temperature rises to minus 2 degrees Celsius. 2 minutes more means after 4 minutes temperature rises to 1 degree Celsius. 2 minutes more means after 6 minutes temperature reaches to 0 degree Celsius. At this 0 degree Celsius, ice will keep on converting to water. Ice will keep on converting to water. You are providing fire, you are heating ice, but there will be no rise in the temperature. The temperature will be constantly at 0 degrees Celsius. Whatever amount of fire you are providing to the ice or to the substance at that time is used, that energy is used for conversion of the state, for converting the solid state to liquid state, for converting the ice to water. All that energy is utilized. This energy does not give any rise in temperature. All the amount of energy that you are providing to the ice at 0 degrees Celsius, mark it, at 0 degrees Celsius, that is at melting point, will be utilized for conversion of the state. This, when complete conversion is done, when all the ice has got converted to water, after that if you keep on heating, then the temperature of water will start rising after the conversion of solid to liquid state. Are you getting? This energy that you provide to a substance which is utilized to convert the state of substance, this is called as latent heat. This heat which you provide at 0 degrees Celsius to ice, which will be converted, which will be utilized to convert ice to water, there is no rise in temperature. That is called as latent heat. This is very important, my dear student. Latent heat. Some people call it latent heat. It's okay. It depends. Nowadays the pronunciation problem is going on. I usually use the word, pronounce it in latent heat. Okay. So this is latent heat. Now what is, again, there is a very important topic. This is basically a question which can be asked. Latent heat. When you talk in general terms, why in general terms? Because when I see, try to understand, at 0 degrees Celsius it is going to happen. Then once the ice has got converted to water, after conversion, then this temperature will go on rising again by 2 minutes, 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 and it will keep on rising till it reaches 100 degrees Celsius. Because 100 degrees Celsius, at 100 degrees Celsius, again a process is going to take place. What is the process? Conversion of liquid to gas. So at 100 degrees Celsius also, when the water reaches to 100 degrees Celsius, whatever amount of heat that you provide, temperature of water will not rise. It will be used, the heat is used to convert water to steam, liquid to gas. That time again, that heat that you provide is called as latent heat, but definitely it has a different name. These two heats basically have a different name. Are you getting my point? When you talk in general term, latent heat is at melting point also, at boiling point also. So when I just say latent heat, so latent heat is defined as the amount of heat used by substance to change its state. Don't say anything more than that, because you don't know whether you are talking about the melting point or you are talking about the boiling point. The amount of heat required by a substance to change its state without rising the temperature is called as latent heat. Definitely when you talk about here, when it is melting, at that time we can call it as latent heat of fusion. This when you say, then you are talking about the melting point. Then you are talking about melting point. The amount of heat absorbed by solid to get converted into liquid without the rise in temperature is called as latent heat of fusion, because now you are talking about a particular point, that is the melting point, that is the conversion of solid to liquid. Similarly, if you talk about here, when you are at boiling point, at that time it is latent heat of vaporization. That time it is latent heat of vaporization. When they ask you to define latent heat of vaporization, same language, except that the amount of heat required by liquid to get converted into gas without the raise in the temperature, without raising its temperature, is called as latent heat of vaporization. I hope you understood this topic, my dear student. This is a very important topic. Latent heat is a very important topic which, if supposing you go into higher standards, this goes in too much of depth. Okay? When you actually here, when they give you latent heat of fusion, just a minute, my dear students, they have given the definition in slight elaborate form, in a more precise form. Latent heat of fusion. See, when I am talking about, I told latent heat of fusion is the amount of heat absorbed by a substance, but it is not like that. They want it to be into more precise form. Latent heat is the amount of heat absorbed to convert 1 kg of ice, 1 kg of solid, 1 kg. How much heat will be required to convert 1 kg of ice to water at 1 atmospheric pressure and at constant temperature 0 degrees Celsius is called latent heat of fusion. See, my dear student, don't get confused, or it's not at all complex, it is same. When I told that it is the amount of heat required by a solid to convert into liquid without rising its temperature. I told without rising its temperature. They are here not telling without rising its temperature at 0 degrees Celsius, because they are taking the example of ice. They are taking the example of ice. So that's why they are, and definitely they are talking about the heat taken by 1 kg of ice. The amount of heat required to convert 1 kg of ice at 1 atmospheric pressure at constant temperature 0 degrees Celsius is called latent heat of fusion. Fine? Yes. Liquid to solid to liquid fusion. See, here one more word is used, at 1 atmospheric pressure. Don't get confused again over here. See, certain things they are used. Why? Because definition has to be very universal. It has to be very universal. Why this 1 atmospheric pressure is used over here? See, basically what is termed as melting point 0 degrees Celsius here at sea level may not be same at higher level. At higher altitudes, the pressure is less, the atmospheric pressure is less as you go high and high, as you go on higher on the higher mountains, more taller mountains, on the Himalayas. the melting point may not be 0 degrees Celsius. Are you getting my point? It will be different. It will be basically less. So at that time, pressure, because the atmospheric pressure is less over there, so melting point changes as with the atmospheric pressure. So we have to make it defined. So they tell that 0 degrees Celsius at 1 atmospheric pressure. Wherever there is 1 atmospheric pressure, there whatever the amount of heat is required to convert 1 kg of ice at constant temperature 0 degrees Celsius, that amount of heat is called as latent heat of fusion. Because if you go at lower atmospheric pressure, then more amount of heat will be needed. So then again that latent heat amount of heat will be changing. So that's why they are telling that the same we will go to latent heat of vaporization. See, when I will come back to latent heat of fusion. Latent heat of fusion, the amount of heat required to convert 1 kg of ice to water at 1 atmospheric pressure at constant temperature 0 degrees Celsius is called as latent heat of fusion. Same when I talk about latent heat of vaporization, now I will be talking about conversion of liquid to gas. So the amount of heat required to convert 1 kg of water to gas at 1 atmospheric pressure at constant temperature 100 degrees Celsius is called as latent heat of vaporization. That's all. Go through, my dear students, you will be finding it very easy, don't worry about that. Okay, now why these things are needed, my dear student? See, why latent heat is needed? Because see, try to understand, if you have 100 ml of water and you have 100 ml of steam, 100 ml of water, 100 ml of steam, which will be more hot? 100 degrees Celsius, supposing at 100 degrees Celsius, water at 100 degrees Celsius, steam is also at 100 degrees Celsius. Who will be more hot? The water at 100 degrees Celsius will be more hot, or steam at 100 degrees Celsius will be more hot? I am telling 100 degrees Celsius, both are at that. But the thing is that the energy possessed by steam will be much more higher than the energy possessed by water. So steam will burn you more than water. Steam will burn you more. That's why, see here, there is, what produces more severe burns? Boiling water or steam? This type of questions can be asked. Now steam has much more high energy compared to boiling water. Hence, the burns caused by steam will be severe than the burns caused by boiling water. So because the latent heat is there, the latent heat is stored in steam. When you boil the water, the amount of heat is converting the temperature of water, and the water reaches to 100 degrees Celsius. Now more heat you have supplied, and that heat is stored in the steam. Excess heat is stored in the steam, and then water has got converted into steam. So steam has got more amount of heat stored in it compared to water at 100 degrees Celsius. Are you getting my point? So that is the reason steam will be able to cause severe burns, because it has got that latent heat also stored in it. Okay, my dear students. So with this we go further. One very important topic. Everything is important. What do I say? Sir keeps on telling me very important, very important, very important. But what do I do, my dear students? Science is like that. Everything is important. I am telling you important because there are certain things which you don't have to actually by heart. That is the beauty of physics. If you understand it properly, if you really understand properly, and then remembering it becomes very easy. You use the word by heart. I use the word remembering, it becomes very easy. See, it's now only I told you. I did not even see the latent heat of vaporization. I tell you, really my dear students, I only went to see for kg. For kg. That is the only when I peeped into the answer for once. See, Once I have understood latent heat of fusion is what? It is the amount of heat required to convert 1 kg of ice to liquid at 1 atmospheric pressure at constant temperature 0 degrees Celsius. That is called as latent heat of fusion. This I have understood. Now I don't have to go again and read what is latent heat of vaporization. I don't need. If I have understood the concept, vaporization is what? When liquid is converted into gas. Liquid is converting to vapor. Water is converting to vapor. This much I have to know, and this is going to take place at what temperature? 100 degrees Celsius. Then I will be free to write this definition on my own, the amount of heat required to convert. But this is the only thing. 1 liter of water I have to say, or 1 kg of water I have to say. That's why I peeped once to see what was the unit used over there. And the unit is 1 kg of water. 1 kg of water to steam at 1 atmospheric pressure at constant temperature 100 degrees Celsius is called as latent heat of vapor. This is what I am telling you. You have to understand certain things, you have to remember, and then you can write your own answers. That is the beauty of physics, chemistry, rarely in bio. Okay, so now sublimation. The other topic is very nice topic, very beautiful topic, See, basically if you will see, there are certain substances when you heat them at solid state. Usually solid state, when you heat it, has to get converted to liquid, and then you heat it and it gets converted to gas. But there are certain substances when you heat them at solid state, from solid state they directly get converted to gas without going through the liquid state. This process is called as sublimation. This process is called as sublimation. You must have seen this camphor, karpur, kapur, camphor, karpur, kapur, camphor in English, karpur in Marathi, karpur in Hindi, kapur in Marathi. Then this, when you heat it, it directly gets converted to gas. It doesn't go into liquid state. That is sublimation. Example are this camphor, and also we know that naphthalene balls. Naphthalene balls, they which are mothers, they use in the cupboards and everything, so that cockroaches don't come. That white color balls are there. You keep them in the cupboard, it will give its smell. Cockroaches don't come in the cupboard and everything. But after a certain time, you will see they just vanish out, because they basically gets converted into gas. The smell also is there because of the gas. There is no liquid state formed by that. So basically that is sublimation. Sublimation is a process by which a solid, when heated, gets converted directly into gaseous state without undergoing liquid state. That is called as sublimation. Okay, fine. This is again important questions. I'll try to do some type of important questions. Naphthalene balls disappear with time without leaving any solid. Basically naphthalene balls undergo sublimation. That's why they convert directly into vapor state without going through the liquid state. The gas exerts pressure on the walls of the container. See, gas exerts, this is one of the important questions. Gas exerts pressure on the wall of the container. I think I have read this, but basically the reason is that the gas particles, the particles of the gas are moving in random direction, in every possible direction. In that process they collide with each other and also to the walls of the container. At that time they impact the walls and they create a pressure. Pressure is what? Basically force exerted per unit area is pressure. So in this way they exert uniform pressure on the walls of the container. Okay, next topic, what is there? I think one is there, convert the following temperature to Celsius scale. Basically there is one very important, very easy one. See, we can convert Kelvin. Kelvin is one scale, Kelvin. Supposing it is 500 Kelvin, you have to convert it to how many degrees Celsius? How many means you have to convert it into degree Celsius. When you have to convert Kelvin to degree Celsius, you have to just do one thing, 500 minus 273. Whatever is the answer of this, 10 minus 3, 7, 2, 227 degree Celsius. This is got converted into degree Celsius. This is all very easy. Kelvin is one scale, degree Celsius is one scale, both are the scales of temperature. So you just have to subtract 273 from Kelvin and it gets converted into degree Celsius. Okay, that is all. Your textbook, again one question is asked. For any substance, why does the temperature remain constant during the change of state? When there is a change of state, why the temperature remains constant? Simple, because whatever the amount of heat is supplied is utilized in conversion of the state. That's why there is no change in the temperature noticed. Are you getting? That is very easy. Now the next topic, one more is there, is that evaporation. Evaporation. With evaporation, it is also nice to understand and learn boiling. Many times students get confused between the two. They feel that they both are same, but they are not. Basically, only thing that they have in common is that in both the conditions, evaporation or in the condition of boiling, in both the conditions, liquid gets converted into gas. That is the only thing they have in common. Liquid gets converted into gas. But then after that, they have got lots of things which are not at all common. First and foremost, evaporation takes place at any temperature. Any temperature. Evaporation takes place at any temperature, especially room temperature. Takes place at any temperature, atmospheric temperature, room temperature, whatever it is. It is taking place at that time. Boiling takes place only at boiling point. The conversion of liquid to gas takes place at any temperature. At this room temperature, you keep saucer, you keep some water in some saucer, you keep some water in some saucer at this place and go. By evening, you will not find any water in that. All the water in the saucer will get evaporated. Temperature, room temperature. Evaporation has taken place. Boiling, definitely liquid will get converted to vapor, but then you will have to boil that water. It will reach 100 degrees Celsius and then it will start converting. Are you getting? Then here takes place only at surface level. Right? If saucer is there, only the water which is at the surface, on the surface, that will get evaporated. Are you getting? When that surface water is evaporated, then the next water level is there. That layer will get evaporated. Then it is like that. Only the process which takes place at the surface level. But in boiling, what happens? It is an entire process. Supposing it is like this, you are boiling it. Then what happens? Basically, this water, when you boil this water, the water over here, it gets heated first. The water at the bottom gets heated first. When this water at the bottom, this gets heated, definitely when it is heated, it expands. Anything that you heat, it will expand slightly. And the moment it expands, it will become light. And because it becomes light, it will move up. This water will then go up here and this all water will move down. Again, this is getting heated. This again the temperature will rise. It will rise and when it also gets expand and then it will go up. This cycle keeps on happening. Down water comes up water goes down. As the temperature of the down water rises above the temperature of the above water, it will come up. Whenever the temperature of the down water will rise more than the temperature of the surface water, it will come up. And this cycle keeps on happening. And slowly, steadily, they reach at 100 degrees Celsius, and the temperature, the boiling point they reach, and then the conversion of liquid to water takes place. So basically, this is the process that is happening throughout. This takes place through the entire mass. Entire mass of water is actually going through this process. One more very important thing is that here, very slow process. Of course, you keep it now till evening, it will take some time. That time for the evaporation to take place. Process is fast. Is faster. Fine. Because it is boiling. It is, of course, you keep the same amount of water in a vessel and boil. Within 10 minutes, it will evaporate. Fine. One more very important thing is that here what happens, whenever evaporation takes place, it absorbs the heat from the surrounding. See, when the liquid is going to convert into gas, latent heat is needed. Heat is needed. Without heat, conversion is not possible. So in evaporation, what they do, you are not going to provide the heat like you are doing it in this case of boiling. I rubbed it. You are not going to provide any heat, but then they require heat. So from where do the water take the heat? It takes from the surrounding. And then what happens? Heat is taken out from the surrounding. Then that surrounding becomes cool. That is the basic idea. You must have seen that earthen pot, matka. If you see that matka, sorry, not a very beautiful one. Not at all a beautiful. कुछ तो थोड़ा सा तो चलो, दैट्स ऑल. बहुत ज़्यादा खेल लिया. Fine. Now if you see this earthen pot, this is definitely somewhat thicker. I'll make it more thick. Now what happens when water, if you will consider this water which is kept over here, this water from here, it enters into the pores of this matka, mitti. It enters into the pores of this. If you'll see sometimes, if there is a tripod stand kept over here, you will find water dropping from here. If you'll go to any native place, any village place, you will see there is, normally they keep a vessel over here wherein they will collect this water. The reason is that this all water which is basically getting into the pores, it drips down because it is basically like this curved. So it will, by the gravitation, it will come down, and from there it keeps on dropping down. This is basically what happens. Now what happens, this water which is over here, this also undergoes evaporation. This undergoes evaporation from the surface of the pot. It is undergoing slow process of evaporation. When it is undergoing the slow process of evaporation from here, as I told you, it will require some heat and it will absorb heat. From where will it get this heat? It absorbs heat from this water which is inside. It absorbs heat from here and then evaporates. It absorbs heat from here and that evaporates. Absorbs it, gets converted into gas, and then it goes away. That is what is happening. And when it absorbs heat, definitely when they are absorbing heat from this water, that means the water in the pot is getting cooled. That's why earthen pots normally give you cold water. Earthen pots normally give you cold water. The reason behind it is that the water which is in the pores of the pot, when you fill the other pot with the water in the pot enters into the pores of the walls of the pot. The water into the pot enters into the pores of the walls of the pot. this water in the pores gets evaporated, and when it gets evaporated, it absorbs the heat required for change of state from the surrounding water, which is the water inside the pot. And hence, because of this absorption of heat, the water inside the pot becomes cold. So this is how it happens. Sorry, my dear students. So this is how it takes place. This is again one more nice thing, nice give reason that you have to understand. Anything more? That's all, my dear students. I feel with this. Actually, one more. Why does a desert cooler cool better on a hot, dry day? See, basically the coolers, they work on the principle of evaporation. They basically need to, the evaporation has to take place. Only when the evaporation takes place, as evaporation absorbs heat, and then there is a coldness in the surrounding. On dry, sunny day, only then the evaporation, that is the only time when the evaporation will take place faster. Okay? Earthen pots, how does the water kept in an earthen pot become cool during summer? I've told this, but just see that I have given in a detailed answer. Here the answer is very simple. Earthen pots become cool during summer, particularly on a hot dry day, because water evaporation from the pot becomes easier. That's not very nice. Basically what I told is a very detailed answer, but still. Rest all is very easy, my dear students. I'll provide you the notes of this, don't worry about that. This I'll be giving you. But this is all the concept cleared, I suppose. If you have doubts in any case, let me know. Any question when you are by-hearting the question and that question you don't understand the answer of that, feel free to ask me. I'll make a video which will be explaining those answers so that it becomes easier for you people to remember those answers. Okay, my dear students, with this we complete the chapter 1, which is matter and our surroundings. Okay, my dear students. So I think we have completed it nicely. If you have got any doubts, I repeat, I'll give you the notes, and you have any doubts, you explain, you put on those questions to me. I'll make another video for explaining those question and answers. Okay, my dear students, thank you.